What is going on, everybody? Thank you for clicking on the video. I also really appreciate you already liking the video. That means a lot to me. That's what we call trial closing right there. But it's gonna be a very laid back type of video. It's just gonna be me answering the questions that you guys left on my Instagram. I got like over 150 here, so I'm gonna see how many I can get through within a reasonable amount of time. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys like this style of video. Obviously, it's pretty easy to do. I'm gonna leave the timestamps for all the questions down below so you can skip to all the clickbait, but I'm going to, instead of stringing you guys along, just get into the most asked question about the girl, because so many questions all stemming from who is she, to who was the girl in the video, to where did you meet, to how is a long distance relationship, which is pretty presumptuous. I mean, I never said that, but you're correct. I'll start with that one. Long distance, not fun, to be honest with you. It's hard. It's one of the most challenging things I've ever done, but I would say if you're in a long distance relationship and you can't make it work, it's because that's really not the person that you want to be with. Because as challenging as it is, if that's the one person on the planet that you feel that you should be with, which is my circumstance, then you will just find a way to make that happen. So that's pretty simple. I mean, I know that doesn't make it easier, but I find a lot of people are just kind of weak and they just end up giving up even just because they don't want to work a little bit harder than most relationships require. Where did we meet and how long has this been going on? That would honestly require an entire 20-minute video. Let me just give you guys the cliff notes real quick. I pretty much stalked her for about a year to try to get her to talk to me. It took about probably 12 months for that to happen. Probably another 8 months just to get her to see me. But I was trying to get somebody to come with me, and guys, she said no. I got rejected. You know what it was? I read Grant Cardone's Sell or Be Sold, and he told this story about how he chased his wife down for a year, where he just called her relentlessly until she finally said yes. Because without reading that, I don't think that I would have even attempted. I would have been like, who in the world would be this crazy? But when you know, you know. I still remember telling my best friend, I was like, this is the one, man. That was like New Year's of like 2016. I was like, dude, I want to marry this girl. That's another question I should probably clear up. So when I put out that video, Conversations with My Wife, most of you guys just didn't read the title of the song. It was the song title. She's not actually my wife yet, but I am not married, to clear that one up. Overall takeaways, if anybody needs some advice, if you find someone that you know is the one, just pursue them relentlessly. I mean, I treated that like it was a full-time job, man. It was challenging. So you guys thought for like the last few years I'd been single, which I guess technically I might have been, but in my mind, no, dude, I was already off the market. Like, this was the one. I just had to sell her for a year and a half, but it was definitely worth it. My buddy Chase Tuning asked, biggest way you think your education, your master's degrees have directly benefited your career? They have not directly benefited my career. So if you don't know, I have an MBA, my master's of business administration. I also have an MS, master's of science in accounting. So I have 2 master's degrees that have done nothing for me, even when I was in accounting. I mean, it was a good experience. I built up a pretty good network. It ultimately led me to my employer, but as far as education itself, it was more just, I guess, an ego thing. I have it. I don't know that I really learned or gained that much from it. If you're gonna get an MBA, I would say go out to the working world for a little bit, then maybe go back to get it if you're in management or something like that. But overall, it was about 40 grand down the hatch that I'll probably never get back. I never got paid more for it or anything like that. So I don't know, I guess every situation is gonna be different. To me, it just wasn't worth it. Where are all of your tattoos? I did a video on all of my tattoos. If I remember, I will link that one down below, but I have 3 on my back, 1 big one down my side, and maybe a sleeve here in the near future. Sales job too consuming, no free time. How do you balance work and spending time on? And your question got cut off. Sales is a very consuming profession. It requires many more hours than I ever thought possible. But I guess it's really all that you make it, it's gonna be, what you put into it is what you're gonna get out. So the more you prospect, the more deals you're gonna land, the more leads and the more calls that you make, it's just gonna all come around full circle. So you can tell the people that don't put a lot of effort into it typically don't stay around too long, but overall I've really enjoyed it and I much prefer it over what I was doing, even though accounting wasn't bad, but I just wasn't meant to be in a cubicle all day, every day. What product promotion or sponsorships have you turned down? quite a few. So before I signed with PES, I rejected, I think, 2 or 3 supplement companies. The recent one that's fresh in my mind that I turned down, not a supplement company, but was the blue light glasses things. I mean, you gotta remember some of these, I mean, they pay well, right? You can make some good money, but I just didn't feel like that was a product that I would really use, and I don't know that I'm fully bought into it. One that I should have answered, did Rise ever respond to your video? You know, this is a huge coincidence. So the next day, they responded to me, and then about 12 hours after that, they said, oh, hey, I just saw the video. Purely coincidental. When is the right time to invest, and should you even take the risk with the market? Yes, in my opinion, absolutely. And I'm not accredited, I am not a CFP by any means, but my personal opinions is that you should invest right now. You should invest as early as possible. I got another question about a 401k, and I talked about this on my Instagram story. I actually prefer the Roth IRA because I would rather not defer the tax. My opinion is that tax rates will be a lot higher than they are right now, even though I might have less income when I retire because I won't be working as much. I just feel like the tax rates are gonna keep skyrocketing, so I would much rather prefer to take that money out tax-free. I think that's gonna be a huge advantage to me when I get a little bit older, talking 60 to 65 years old. All personal preference, but the stock market really, in my mind, isn't that risky when you look at the unbiased long-term data. A very good book I would recommend everyone read is The Simple Inevitable Wealth by Nick Murray, and it's just pretty factual. You see the long-term graphs. Best tips to help you stay so positive about everything. I mean, that's really just perspective. So my opinion is that most people in this world, I shouldn't say that. If you read through the YouTube comments, because this is a very interesting place to be, a lot of people are just very, very soft. And I think the reason for that is because they just haven't been through anything that's significant in their life. Like people that get really upset over like a clickbait YouTube video, that's only because the only explanation for that is that they've never experienced like a real life event. Because if you have, you know that certain things just don't really matter. 99% of things in the world don't matter. I mean, when you see things that are truly heartbreaking or they just turn your life upside down, you really gain a really good perspective in my mind. So a lot of times the people that are just so negative and pessimistic about things, they're just kind of weak people, and a lot of times they're younger too, so I think they'll grow up and then they'll get a little bit more thick-skinned. But overall, I mean, there's not too many things to be down about all the time. I mean, life is pretty good for most of us. If you're watching this right now, you have the technology and the ability to pretty much do anything that you want. So, and again, I know I'm not like a politically correct person, and this is the reason I don't drive like a huge audience, because a lot of people don't like my candor, but I just kind of try to tell people how it is. Just like toughen up and stop being a pussy. Are you ever satisfied with your life, or do you always keep striving for more in all aspects? I think this is actually a flaw of mine, is that I'm never really satisfied with my achievements, I would say. So getting a new job or hitting a certain number of subscribers or reaching a certain income level, it always like is okay for a few seconds, and it's just like, yeah, I could probably do a little bit better than that. So I don't do a really good job of celebrating certain achievements, even though I don't really think that you should in most cases. Like most of the time, we're all just doing pretty basic stuff. I feel like especially like on Instagram and on the internet, people make a big deal about all of these things that you're doing that are really just like basic things to me, at least in my mind. So I don't really know. I don't know that I have the right answer, but for the most part, I'm always striving to do more and more. Worst thing about the fitness industry. It's pretty good because I've seen it behind the scenes a little bit, and it's not all that it's cracked up to be. It's not just what you guys see through a screen. There's some interesting aspects to it for sure. I would say not everyone is telling you everything. There's a lot that's said behind the scenes that you guys will probably be surprised about. A lot of things that go on that you just don't even know. I'm not gonna put anybody on blast, that's not my business, but I just try to be as upfront with you guys as I can. I don't tell you everything, but what you do see on camera, I mean, this is as boring as I am on camera, that's as boring as I am in real life. Fitness is almost like, it's almost a little bit like high school, you know, like people are overly concerned with how they look all the time or how they're perceived. I mean, these Instagram pictures that you're seeing, you wouldn't even believe what goes on behind some of these things. It's just like, to me, so much extraness going on. It's pretty cliquey, you know. There's certain cliques of people that don't like others going inside of their group, which maybe that's true for every industry, I would imagine, but overall, I would say the fitness industry is a pretty good place. There's some amazing people here. There's just a few things that would probably surprise most of you. Have you ever taken steroids or Sarms? I'm guessing that's a troll question. Remington James rap collab. Remington doesn't want anything with me on the mic. You guys know that I lay down the bars.
Stereos pounding, shaking the grounding, feel the vibrations go through the surrounding, TV screen falling.
Ooh, what is your stance on the country's current situation in terms of racism, cultural something? Your question got cut off. Most people are not going to answer this, but if you're asking my opinion on the country, I think the country is pretty screwed up, to be honest. I mean, let's face it, we have Donald Trump leading the country, which, you know, when you think about the president, are you saying that Trump and Hillary Clinton were the best options that we had? I don't think so. I think this country, there's so many things that are just screwed up, but I tend to divide the country into two worlds, the political world and the real world. So I live over here. I don't have much respect for what goes on in the government, and that means anything involving the government, because I just feel like they don't do anything. They're not efficient. There's just no good processes, and they might have fair intentions, but there's never any action, and that's the type of people that drive me crazy. Go into a government agency, go into the DMV, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, if you want something to run appropriately, put it in the private industry, and we'll get it taken care of. And I think that's proven by the deficit that you see, the amount of money that we owe all types of countries. It's just a mess. In terms of, you said racism, I mean, if you think any differently about another human based off of the color of their skin, you're just a loser. Like, I don't even know how we fix that. Like, are people always going to be that pathetic? Maybe so. I would hope not. I would hope that we would be teaching our kids not to be, shitheads, but maybe. I just don't know about that. Like, racism and judging people. Like, who cares what other people are doing with their political beliefs? Like, leave them alone, honestly. But I could go on a long rant about that. I just realized my camera stopped recording about 15 minutes ago. Awesome. So let me redo a few of these a little bit more controversial questions maybe. What do you feel about fitness entrepreneurs / influencers giving life advice / charging for business coaching? My opinion is, if there's a market for it and someone's going to pay you for that, then by all means get your money. But the market is always going to tell you what's right. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in the long term. Personally, I'm in a very good position because I can get some business advice from very established professionals, people that have been doing this for years and years and have a proven track record and an amazing career to show for it, and not just, marketing their body or their popularity, which social selling is so different than selling in the real world, like B2B selling. You can't walk into a customer and use the selling tactics that I see on Instagram stories. It's not gonna work. But if it's there, like, get the money while it's there by all means. But the market will always correct itself. So I don't know that this is gonna last very long. But who am I to say, I think a lot of people are overvaluing themselves in a way. But again, these are just my opinions. That's why I don't give them my money. But enough people are, apparently, for them to build themselves a career and build a life for themselves. So by all means, man, I have no problem with that. What advice do you have for influencers that use social media as their primary source of income? I would just say find an exit plan, figure out what you're gonna do in 5 to 10 years with all this, because it's not gonna be around forever, or it's gonna keep evolving. So you either have to evolve with it, which I think some people will do, or you have to just make so much money right now that you can start investing in other things. And I think there are some good examples of people doing that. And I think this is where we're gonna end the video. I've talked long enough. If you want me to do some more Q&As, just let me know down below. Leave some questions, or just let me know that you want me to open this up. Follow me on Instagram. That's probably where I'm gonna host most of them. If you made it this far, thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to watch. You could have been doing anything in the entire world, and you chose to spend a few minutes with me. That is pretty awesome. Please give the video a like if you enjoyed it. That really does help me out a lot. And now, woman of my dreams, ? Got her. Someone told me to name this video, I Lost My Balls. What?